Okay, welcome back. Just a small update on the temporary the temporary system while we wait for this thing to get all of its issues out of the way. It's running good, decent loads on it. As you can see, the EP Ever and the MPP inverter. Now they're both have solar on them, so when I go to the solar assistant in a minute, when you see the draw coming from the battery, that pretty much covers it up to about it seems like about 1,000 watts, about 900 continuous, good, 12 for short periods of time, depending on if it's peak or not, until everything kind of settles out. But we'll go into assistant real quick. Okay, as you can see, that is the load we're pulling. I don't know why that one array is not putting out what it should. I would expect more closer to 1,000 consistently, but maybe not. Maybe I have to go out and check and see if I have a small amount of blockage or something. Not too concerned about it, because what it shows down there, the minus 800 from the battery, actually isn't. That's what's being filled in by the EP Ever there, and so it's good. I've seen it hold the battery voltage consistent up to about 2,000 watts coming off of the inverter, 2,000 watts load. Then it starts to tax in, so I know that I'm good for that. So about 1,800 continuous, and we're not quite in peak. I mean, we kind of are now, but it really isn't, because this inverter, the battery voltage is high, so a lot of times it's not quite using what it needs to anyway, and then all of a sudden it starts looking for it from the EP Ever, as you can see there, and even that 1,200 coming out of there is not having a major effect at all on the battery. So we're all good until they get us fixed up, and then we can be back to the high voltage PV. I tell you, now that's a lot bigger inverter. The one that's broken down is a 6K 240. In other words, 120 240 US power. The other one, of course, it's a 5 kVA, but it's using that transformer, and I'm thinking that for the amount of power that I use and whatnot, it may still be a little more efficient. At least that's been my experience so far with when the inverter was up and running. I was getting the same results, but I would have expected a little better because of the high voltage PV and the direct use that you can get like that. I don't know, I would have expected a little bit better, but it's pretty power hungry. So that extra 100 watts, 150, 200 maybe even at times, kind of gets absorbed in the machine a bit. And I expect that with a bigger inverter. But that old workhorse over there, it just does what it does, and fairly efficiently. So, but that's the update. I just wanted to let you see kind of what was going on. The report on the solar here won't be accurate either, obviously, for the amount that we're bringing in. That's just off of that array. But what you can see, if you go here, is so far the load, which will update itself off the inverter. The way I've kind of noticed that this does is you would think that I'm using, I have been using quite a bit more than that, than the 0.9. I've been up since off grid since about 15 after or something like that. It's now noon, so it's a bit behind, and the reason why is it seems to update the kilowatt per hour in a different way, different timing or something. And by the end of the day or within a little while, you'll see that it will start to catch up. But that first sort of 2 hours, it tends to, I guess that's when the inverter reports it. So who knows? But I've noticed that even when I'm not drawing enough from the solar any longer to stably run the house, without tapping into the batteries, when I go back on grid, I leave the unit on to top off the batteries again, but without the AC on, just in standby. And I've noticed that, hour later, it'll finish updating the kilowatt per hour usage. So even after I'm no longer pulling any power, when it's 0 watts coming out, it will update. So by the end of my solar day, it is accurate. And I don't mind that. That's pretty neat, the way it's doing it. What else? But that's about it. We'll keep you updated on anything else that may occur. But just letting you know that the temporary sloppy nightmare, and the reason it's that way is I just don't want to spend the time to neatly put together this thing when I'm waiting on this inverter. If in the end we can't decide how and what to do with it, that's when we're going to have some fun and tear into it all the way past there, find out what that heat sink actually looks like on the other side, and how much or what is actually even on the other side other than the fans. The cabling that comes out of there, the ones through the ports, are clearly all fans that run back behind there, but there are some screws and things that I think are making connections on the other side, and we'll find out. That transformer, if there is one in there, I have no idea. I haven't looked. There's something in there awfully heavy. It's 108 pounds, and that motherboard only weighs probably 6. And that heat sink ain't that heavy. And the rest of the stuff that's in there. So there's something in there that's weighty. There might be some usable parts in there yet, even if they can't get around to figuring out what the issue is. But we'll find out.